Hi, I'm Matt from the HMO platform. We help landlords across the UK to get on course towards profitability, wealth and success in an ethical way using our next level HMO and co-living strategies. In this video, we're going to cover some of the things that you will need to be aware of for your HMO licence. Firstly, there are minimum room sizes that you need to comply with, which are nationally dictated. So as a minimum, your single occupancy room must be a minimum of 6.52 square metres and your double occupancy room must be a minimum of 10.22 square metres. When calculating this space, it only counts when you have head height above 1.5 metres. So properties that are in a loft may have eaves, but you can't count the eave space below 1.5 metres in height. Obviously you can use it for storage, etc., but it just doesn't count as livable space. The total bedroom size does not usually include your ensuite, so you can have a 6.51 square metres plus an ensuite, and that would be for a single occupied room. I would suggest that for an ensuite, they should be practical. There's no real minimum, but think about it. You've got to be able to get into them, have a shower, turn around, do your teeth and get back out of them. Ours are a minimum of 2.5 square metres in general. For the other rooms, there will be minimum sizes for kitchens and for living spaces. Some councils won't have minimum sizes for certain living spaces because they take into account the living space in your bedrooms as well and the amount of dining space in the kitchen. So you can be a little bit more creative with the communal spaces in these types of properties, and we'd always have at least a large living kitchen so people can sit down, watch telly and eat and make food all in one space. Then if we've got a little bit more space, then we can create another area like a lounge or maybe a little office space. If you do student properties, you probably want a separate lounge, I'd say definitely. And if you do young professionals, then you want some communal space, but it doesn't necessarily have to be separate in our experience. When it comes to your amenities, there's definitely standards for the amount of cupboard space each tenant must have, and that's in the kitchen. And we generally stick to a rule of 1 cupboard per tenant because that's a lot more than you need for your licence. But remember that you will also need space for your communal pots and pans and plates as well. Now, tenants must have the ability to wash up the dishes, so you need 1 sink for generally up to 5 people. If you have 6 and above, then you're looking at either having a second sink in there or 1 sink plus a dishwasher will get around that requirement as well. Then you'll need a good amount of worktop space so that people can cook, so you can chop up their food. So we want to be looking at the local council standards for how much worktop space is deemed to be adequate per person. So maybe if they're thinking 2 or 3 people cooking at the same time, that's probably okay. If you've got a breakfast bar or a dining table, this can really help with that requirement. Now, we like to give living bedrooms. So if you give your tenants enough space to be able to live and sleep in their room, then it means that you don't need a separate living room in the same way as you would if you had, let's say, a 6.5 or 7 square metre bedroom. There's definitely not enough space in that size of room for your tenants to be able to live and sleep in the same space. As a general rule, if the bedroom is for single occupancy and it is over 10.22 square metres, then it is deemed a living bedroom and you don't need a separate living room for licensing purposes. This means that the council view that the tenant can sleep and enjoy the space to live in as well. If you don't do all ensuite properties, then you will want to check the ratio of bathrooms to people living in the property. Normally it's 1 bathroom for 5 people as long as you have a separate toilet as a minimum, but each council can vary. Again, it really comes down to your tenant research and what your ideal tenant wants, because that's how we create lettability. And it's also true for how you provide your communal spaces. Find out what it is that they want and then get that sorted. The final key thing to be aware of when it comes to your licence is your fire strategy. So have you got fire detectors and alarm sounders in the right places? Have you got emergency lighting in the correct place? How do your tenants escape from the building and how are they made aware that there is a fire? This is key because that's what's going to enable you to be able to sleep well at night as a landlord. And also, licensing officers are very hot on this, especially after recent fires that have happened in larger buildings. So make sure that your tenants have a fire protected route out, make sure that they can get out of windows on the first floor safely, and make sure that you've got a sounder in the correct place where people can hear the fire alarm from their beds when they're asleep. There's one licensing officer, in fact, that will actually go in with a decibel meter and stick it at the bed head where the pillow goes and test that the alarm makes the right reading in order for it to pass the licence. Generally, if you put an alarm in every bedroom, then it would pass, but that's not necessarily a requirement, but we always do. I would suggest to always put in a grade A fire system as well, just to be on the safe side. The number one reason for having a problem in your property that could cause danger to life realistically is fire, so that's why we'd always get the best fire system we can in every property, and they just sail through licensing. The best document that can help you with this is the LaCourse Fire Safety Guide, and there's a link to it down below, so have a read of that. But alongside of all of the stuff we've talked so far, there are some basics like having adequate hot water, adequate heating, and that's all common sense. So that's a brief overview of HMO licensing and some of the key things that you need to be aware of. Now, I suggest you go onto your council's website and find the HMO licensing requirements for your area and get to know them. Well, that's it for licensing in this video. For more information about how we can help you in your HMO investing, please go and check out our website at thehmoplatform.co.uk, and don't forget to subscribe by clicking down here, and see you in the next video.